We welcome you to the OTP. OTP stands for Official Titans Podcast, if you didn't know. Now that we've cleared that up, welcome to the program. I'm Mike Keith. Amie Wells is here.
Hi, Mike Keith.
How are you?
I'm good.
Welcome to the OTP.
Why, thank you. It's good to be here.
Good to have you with us. And it is time for the man himself, TGJW, the great Jim Wyatt. Welcome again.
I don't know if I'm worthy of that introduction, but I'm happy to be at the OTP.
You are getting that introduction. I've seen people talking about you on social media now using that.
Jim, do you feel like that acronym has a little too many consonants? Don't you feel like it needs a vowel somewhere in there?
TGJW?
Yeah.
That's true. Where's Vanna White when you need her?
That's how I'm feeling. Maybe that's what would make it less clunky.
Vanna White?
Vanna makes everything better. But I was thinking more just like a vowel. Maybe we should buy a vowel for Jim.
Sure, let's do that.
All right.
All right, so moving right along to the program. We are a week removed from the Titans' last game, in case you missed it. Titans 30, Jaguars 9. Derrick Henry, AFC Offensive Player of the Week. 17 rushes, 238 yards, 4 touchdowns. It's one of the highest totals in NFL history for a player with under 20 carries. It is the highest total in franchise history in rushing, 238 yards. His 99-yard touchdown run ties the longest in NFL history with Anthony Dorsett from Aliquippa, PA, better known as Tony Dorsett of the Dallas Cowboys. And 4 touchdowns ties the franchise record. It was a night for history for Derrick Henry. And, I mean, you could just go on and on with what his performance was like. Jim Wyatt, did you ever see it coming?
It was crazy. It was one of those nights, Dwight Spradlin in media relations sits behind me on game days, and he comes up with nuggets and stats that I don't know where he comes up with these things. But it was one of those nights where he's, okay, well, Derrick Henry just did this. He just did this. He's 9 away from doing this. So, and that just was going on all game. It was an incredible performance by him, and one of the best performances ever in that stadium. And, Chris Johnson obviously had some great days. Eddie George had some great days in that stadium, but what Derrick Henry did, especially early when he was just racking up yards by the bunches, it was remarkable.
Well, and I think, too, the opponent.
Yeah.
The third-rated defense in the league, the seemingly impenetrable Jacksonville Jaguars, who are just coming off a shutout of Indianapolis. I don't know what else to say. I mean, the guy, the 99-yard run was something to behold, but he just kept going all night. If you take out the 99-yard run, it's still a great performance.
And that's what surprised me so much about this game specifically, is we're used to, especially in games where you're getting a lot of the run, you're used to one big flash play and then you kind of grind it out for a while, and it's smaller plays. This just felt like it was constantly flowing, and Derrick Henry playing against his hometown team was just something to be seen. But it it was just so much fun. And we say every time that when we play the Jags, you never know what's going to happen. And I'm glad that is what happened.
And what's crazy is it's brought out, and we know we all, love Derrick Henry's impact on this team, and he's such a competitor, has been since he arrived here as a Heisman Trophy winner. But it of course, is brought out of the conversation. Well, you should have been doing this all year. Right? This is what happens when you give the guy the ball 20, 25 times a game. He did most of this in 10 carries. I mean, at the start of the game, 10 to 12 carries. And the reason why maybe this didn't happen earlier in the season is because he admitted that maybe he didn't run as effectively or do the things that he needed to do early on to be effective. I mean, he's a guy that ripped his own play throughout the first half of the season, calling it trash. So what we saw on Thursday was a whole nother level from him. And now the team has got to figure out a way to keep that going. It's not going to be easy. I mean, you're not going to get performances like that, but if you can just get him to run with that same aggression and have that same success on some of the carries, no matter how many carries he gets, it's a game changer.
Amie Wells is studying something. What are you studying?
Oh, I'm just looking some things up right now. Don't worry about
sorry.
me.
We're sorry to throw you that way.
Oh, no.
A lot of interesting stats have come out. It's the second leading rushing performance in NFL. It's actually the third. The third leading rushing performance in NFL history by a Heisman Trophy winner. The top two were done by the same man. Can you guess who that is?
That's a good question.
That is a good
Adrian
question.
Peterson?
Hornthal James Simpson.
Oh, man.
Oh, your guy, Jim.
That is my guy. That was my childhood hero growing up.
O.J. Simpson, 273 and 250.
Okay.
Were the two highest by a Heisman Trophy winner. The other thing, too, is the yards after contact stat, which is a great stat on Derrick Henry anyway, which has been great. I mean, he's been super all year, up to 2.8. And, I mean, the guy they're going to face this week, Saquon Barkley, at 2.4, another fantastically talented back. So, you're gonna see it. You're gonna see some power in this game this week at MetLife Stadium. The Titans and the Giants with some power backs coming at you. This also seems like a week too, where a guy like Deion Lewis could explode because you're not expecting it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he was big on the first series.
Yes, he was. And, I'd be curious to see. I mean, I keep looking at the weather forecast in New York, and it keeps changing from day to day. And now it looks like this morning, rain's back in the forecast, which you wonder how much that's going to impact the game plan and what the game might end up looking like. And maybe it's a game where you need to pound the football again, depending on what it is. It sounds like the Texans-Jets game the day before is definitely going to be a wet one. I'm hoping it clears out for Sunday, but right now it doesn't look like it.
It doesn't. Saturday, 99% chance of rain, high 47. Sunday, 99% chance of rain, high 44.
Well, that doesn't sound like fun.
It doesn't sound great.
No.
That's a good day to be on the sidelines.
I wish I was on the sidelines.
Yeah. It's one of those days where everything's in a plastic baggie and you're just waiting for it to end.
You know who wouldn't mind being on the sidelines? My dog, Major. He
He
loves the rain. And time for our major moment of the game.
Can Major come to the game?
He would come to there he is as a puppy,
Oh.
where he completed his positive
Look at
dog
Major.
training.
He was a
You
minor
can
back
see
then.
He completed
He
his
was a minor back then.
I thought about getting another dog and naming the dog Miner. Miner, like a coal miner. I thought that would be kind of an interesting twist. But they showed the picture of him with the certificate where he completed his positive dog training. Wasn't 5 minutes later, he ate the certificate.
Seriously?
Yes, 100% true. 100% true. He is quite the performer. All right, so the major moment of the game, all three of us have to pick one. And, of course, because the great Jim Wyatt is on the show, we have a qualifier.
Of course.
In everything Jim Wyatt does, there is a qualifier.
And we like to make Jim comfortable.
We like to. It truly is.
Try to create your
That
natural
way you can kind of frame it the way you want it to.
You can frame it the way you want it
Yeah.
to. Well, so we did not let anybody pick the 99-yard run.
Can we show it anyway?
Well, sure,
Just
we
to
could show
look
it
at it,
again.
just
Like, can
to
we
watch
show the
it?
99-yard run again on the video version?
And check out Michael Pruitt's block on this play, starting. I lost him in the screen, but he blocks the guy all the way to the 20-yard line, and then Derrick Henry goes to work.
You know who nearly gets stiff-armed here? Corey Davis.
Yeah.
Watch this. He turns around.
Oop.
He nearly
He's like,
gets stiff-armed.
Nope. My
he's
guy.
like,
getting
he's
the
like,
heck
I'm going
out
to hit everybody.
He's bailing out of there.
Corey Davis
yeah.
nearly got it. By the way, Corey Davis will be our guest on Pinnacle Financial Partners Titans Tonight with Keith Bullock, presented by Yeehaw Brewing Company tonight at 6
That's going to be fun.
on Titans Radio 104.5 The Zone in Nashville.
That's going to be
so
really
we'll have
fun.
him on. So we've shown the 99-yard run.
That was a pretty major moment.
That was that was the major
But
moment.
it doesn't
Yeah.
Maybe
qualify.
it does not
Yep.
qualify
Nope.
because Jim Wyatt has qualifiers. So let's I tell you what, let's let Amie Wells go first.
Okay.
What is your major moment of the game?
I think mine wins, so you guys don't even have to participate. It's the goal line stand. It has to be. And especially for Rashaan Evans. What a huge play for him. It was just, everything about it was so great. And I think that was one of the most pivotal points of the game. Just telling, it was such a statement. I win.
There were helpers there too.
There were
he got
tons,
there.
but
I don't
gosh.
think now Rashaan made the play, but I don't think Fournette's getting in because there's Byard. It also looked like Austin Johnson did a really good job as well. But the Titans certainly had penetration. Evans beating Shatley inside just is a fantastic play. There's Logan.
Mm-hmm.
You see the bottom of the pile. Byard is at the bottom of the pile. Vaccaro's going to get there. Well done.
It was a great play by the entire defense. For Rashaan, what it said to me was this is a kid who is getting it. You know, that was the moment where you saw all of his preparation, all of the hard times that he's had at the beginning of the season. Everything kind of came to that pinnacle moment, and it was just a good play.
I can't remember a rookie first-round pick who has started off as slowly and then come on as fast as Rashaan Evans. Maybe Albert Hainsworth.
Yeah, and I sometimes when I think about Rashaan Evans, it reminds me of Keith Bullock too, just because he was a first-round pick and because he was used so much kind of on special teams and in
But he
situational
wasn't starting
packages.
at the end of the year.
Yeah, and I guess he started making an impact at the beginning. You're right as far as he was ahead of where Keith was. I mean, Keith made some plays toward the end of his rookie season, but Rashaan Evans has arrived on the scene and making a huge impact.
Now, mine is actually a defensive play, and it's a rookie, and it's a linebacker. It's an outside linebacker, Sharif Finch. But it's also, and let's not forget, because Finch makes the end of the play, the guy who gets there and makes it happen is Jarrell Casey. Jarrell Casey with a big sack of the quarterback. And you'll see Casey, he comes through, and there he is. And there's Finch getting the help. And he gets credit for the sack as he rips the ball out of Kessler's arms and then recovers it himself. Finch, I'm telling you, I think Finch is going to be a really nice player for this organization. He's heavy. You know, at 250 pounds, he can play the run. He's got some quicks off the edge, some explosion, and he has the presence of mind to go in and know what to do. The Titans need a lot more of that. In these last 3 ball games, how about some more takeaways like that? So that's my major moment of the game.
And that was another good one. And I like what Finch is doing. I mean, I like the way he's played, and obviously he worked himself into a position where he's active on Sundays when they've put Correa as an inactive when you have to start making decisions. Obviously, things could change this week with Brian Arakpo dealing with an injury, but Finch has made him look smart by being productive when he's gotten opportunities.
Finch is up to 18 tackles on the year, 1.5 sacks, a forced fumble, a recovered fumble, and 7 special teams tackles. He was tied for first, but Trawick had 2 more, and then Bates had 1. So Trawick at 9 special teams tackles. He's a Pro Bowler, so not surprising. Bates, the special teams captain, with 8 special teams tackles. But Bates, or I should say Finch, who has not been playing special teams until just the last few weeks, with 7, doing a nice job there. And what about Joshua Kalu with the special teams tackle? So good for him.
Good for him.
All right, Jim Wyatt.
My major moment happened late in the game, and certainly this I'm dating all the way back to last year when the Jaguars came in here, the big bad Jaguars on a roll. This team was getting ready to go to the AFC Championship game. It's brash, does a lot of talking, let you know about it when things are going good. Well, things didn't go good for them on Thursday at Nissan Stadium. We saw what the goal line play was huge. The Derrick Henry stiff arms were huge. The Titans dominated this game, dominated up front, and late in the game, Taylor Lewan and Jalen Ramsey crossed paths, and Taylor Lewan kind of stuck his helmet out. I don't even know if he made contact. It was very light, and Jalen Ramsey flopped to the ground. I don't know if he's trying to draw a penalty or what he was doing necessarily, but I thought this moment right here kind of showed you where things stood between the Titans and the Jaguars for now. The Jaguars certainly Taylor Lewan playing the violin, and that's where the Jaguars are. They're now doing a lot of talking, let you know when things are going good, when things are going bad. That's what you get.
That might be the worst flop in the NFL this year. That was terrible.
Yep.
That would be a technical.
You
at
gotta
the
have
NBA,
a little pride.
wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it was cheap. It was embarrassing for him. Like, come on, Jalen, you're better than that. Really? It wasn't even good. If you're gonna do it, put your back into it a little bit. He just kind of like crumbled down. Throw yourself to the ground.
Could they called him for a penalty for how bad that was?
Yeah. Embarrassing.
Embarrassing.
Throw the flag.
All right, so those are the major moments of the game. Let's take a look at the playoff picture and where the Titans are in all of this. And it got better. It didn't get best. Let's just put it that way. Would you not say that's right?
That was good. Grammatically, I don't think it was
Well,
super
but
correct,
my
but it was
point
good.
was you could go to a best scenario. And that would have been New England finishing off Miami. That probably would have been Houston beating Indianapolis, although we can debate that one. But in the one that's gotten really wild is Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Pittsburgh has lost 3 straight games, and they've got New England and then at New Orleans and then Cincinnati, who they'll beat. But I mean, there's Pittsburgh very conceivably is going to go from 7-2-1 and a 2.5 game lead in their division to 8-7-1 and out of the playoffs.
It's crazy.
It's good for the Titans because Baltimore, even if they lose to the Chargers on the night of the 22nd, they play the night game on Saturday after the Titans play Washington at 3:30. Even if they lose that game, if Baltimore finishes 9-7, they win the division, or if they win all 3 of those games, they win the division, and then suddenly the Titans don't have to worry about a tiebreaker with Baltimore because they're a division winner.
Right.
That's good news.
Yes.
The rest of it, if you're a Titan fan and you're not a Viking fan this week, you need to be one. Because you need for Minnesota to beat Miami.
Possible.
That needs to happen. Indianapolis, potentially you can take care of that business yourself if you're the Titans. It could come down to the Titans at 9-6 and the Colts at 9-6 on December 30th at noon at Nissan Stadium for the last playoff spot, which would be pretty exciting. But if Dallas were to beat them this week, wouldn't be the end of the world. Of course, the Titans at the Giants, Washington, and Indianapolis. And then Denver, having lost to San Francisco, is probably on the outside looking in. You can get in at 9-7, but it's going to take several things. And that's why when we talk about the Titans, is there a possibility of them getting in at 9-7? Yes. It's just like 12 things have to happen or 10 things. I mean, it's a lot. If they want to really get in, the way to handle it
is to win out.
Yeah, and I thought it was a good day. I mean, you're right in that it could have been better. The only thing that would have made it better, I think, in my mind, was New England finishing that game off, and they had so many opportunities to do it. But I was worried about Denver because of their schedule coming up and because that last game against the Chargers, you just don't know what their playoff situation is going to be like. So for them to lose against the 49ers was a big bonus. As you mentioned, Pittsburgh, for them to lose against Oakland and make that a possibility where your Titans are really needing a Miami loss and either a Baltimore and Pittsburgh loss at this point. That was huge. And for the longest time, I thought the Ravens were going to beat the Chiefs. I mean, the Chiefs had to pull one out of the hat a couple of different times to win that game. So I thought it was a really good Sunday, and I kind of thought it was better. And it's funny, we can look at this. We'll maybe look back at this in a couple of weeks from now and think the other result would have been better. But I thought it was better that the Colts won just because it does keep the AFC South division hopes alive.
Well, and you make the point. Houston is at the New York Jets. There'll actually be games on back-to-back days at MetLife Stadium. Houston plays the Jets on Saturday. A Jets win with Sam Darnold back. Potentially, if the Titans can win there the next day over the Giants, the Titans are back within a game.
Right.
So you're still in the division picture theoretically. By the way, they say they have to turn over in the space of less than 17 hours, 1,200 different things to convert that from a Jet stadium to a Giants stadium.
Turnover things just like
Signage,
banners,
things.
Repaint the field.
Well, they're not going to repaint the field because of the rain. There's going to be nothing in the end zones due to the rain.
Titans players.
Listen to you.
Wasn't that good?
That was good how you did that.
Thank you.
Speaking of Titans players, well
and,
played.
and
Well
maybe
done.
maybe some Jets players. Yeah, that wouldn't be bad too. We'll let some Jets get in
Let's
there.
get
There you
some
go.
Jets players in the end zone.
Roster moves for the Titans.
Yes.
Lose 2 offensive starters this week. Jonnu Smith, gone for the year. Jack Conklin, gone for the year.
2 that just break my heart.
I know.
Ugh.
I know.
Jack coming back from the big injury last year. He worked so hard during training camp.
I know.
Makes me sad. Jonnu was having such a good season. He was really coming into his own.
Oh, yeah.
He was getting into his groove. I mean,
Big part of the pass game.
Yeah.
He had gone into Delaney territory in terms of the fact that he didn't put up those kind of numbers, but he was blocking, playing all those plays like Delaney, and starting to catch the ball and score some touchdowns. And you waited 8 weeks, 9 weeks, and now that's gone.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that element that you lost in week 1, you started to get back a semblance of it. Not the same thing, not saying he's a Pro Bowler, but he was playing really well. And
I had done an interview with him from Monday Night Live, and he was talking about how he finally felt like he could help out in a lot of different areas, and he felt like he could fill some of the holes that he was being expected to fill. And gosh, it just makes me so sad for him.
But I will say this. I mean, that we've seen in recent weeks some of the depth kind of coming to its own a little bit. You know, Luke Stocker, you know what you're getting from him. He's going to continue to have a big role as a blocker. Michael Pruitt, though, I think in the running game and as a blocker, I think he's really developed. He's made a couple of catches in recent weeks, and of course Anthony Ferkser, who's become a little bit of a fan favorite. You know, and you get there, and a quarterback favorite too. When you throw a guy passes and he catches every one of them, you're going to do that. In the roster move, you mentioned Cole Wick signed.
he takes time off from driving the number 71 Dunkin' Donuts NASCAR.
Yes, he's now a Titan.
Off turn 3, it's Cole Wick. Right behind Cole Trickle.
So big boy, 6'6",
Man.
257.
Well, I saw him in the dining room the other night as I was walking to the car. He was wearing 85 in practice yesterday. I think his real number is going to be 89. And he was just an incredibly large man eating a big plate of meat.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just kind of –
That's what you want in a tight
that's
end.
it. Yeah, I mean, he's a good blocker out of Incarnate Word in San Antonio, Texas, and played for Detroit, left Detroit, was picked up by San Francisco, and played for them, and then they had him on the practice squad, and the Titans signed him off the practice squad.
It's crazy. I was not even familiar with Incarnate Word. It's funny how things work out. I noticed that LSU, Jeff Harding's alma mater, had played Incarnate Word in a cupcake game earlier this week, and I was going to give him a hard time about them scheduling Incarnate Word, and then the Titans end up signing a guy from there, I think, the very next day. So
he's out of
remarkable.
a high school class. He went to a Catholic school in a small Texas town about 100 miles east of San Antonio.
It sounds like a country song.
It does. With Cole Wick. He'll be performing at the Bluebird.
Oh, my gosh.
That's a great name.
And he
That's a great name. But anyway, he was in a high school graduating class of 26.
Intimate.
Yes.
Yikes.
He was sitting in his locker. You know, of course, the Titans play a Thursday game. When you have injuries, and you kind of get a little bit of a head start on looking ahead. So
Right.
he was on the San Francisco's practice squad, sitting in his locker before the 49ers played the Broncos on Sunday, and that's when he found out that the Titans were going to sign him. I guess, and he was at that point wondering if the 49ers were going to do something to try to keep him, or sometimes you can, GMs will work something where they'll pay your salary,
Right.
like an active roster
They'll
guy, just to
guarantee
keep
your
you around.
salary the
And
rest of the year. Yeah.
so I think he was wondering what was going to happen. It turns out that the Titans get him, and so he comes here back on the 53. He was on the 53 with the Lions for a point in 2016, I believe, and how much he plays, whether he's active on Sunday, I guess will kind of remains to be seen. But
he's a blocker.
Yep.
He's caught 2 passes for 18 yards in his NFL career, but he's more of that blocking. But he's very athletic. Watching him practice yesterday,
We can use blockers.
Oh,
I'll take that.
Absolutely. The other addition is Austin Pastor, who's a big tackle, and this is a guy. He's Canadian. He goes to Fork Union. He does well at Fork Union Academy and signs with Virginia. He's a 4-year starter for the Cavaliers, second-team All-America selection. Signed in the NFL by Minnesota. That doesn't work out. So he ends up in Jacksonville on their practice squad and eventually becomes a starter in Jacksonville. Jacksonville cuts him. He goes to Cleveland, becomes a starter in Cleveland. And then in 2017, he's with Atlanta. Atlanta cut him at the end of training camp. And now he's here. And he's a guy who has started at right tackle. He's played guard. He's 6'7", 305. So he's kind of that rangy sort of guy. And with Dennis Kelly out of practice yesterday for family reasons, he was taking reps and looked like he knew exactly what he's doing. He started against the Titans multiple times, which is the irony of signing someone like that in the NFL. Sometimes a guy who's been your opponent is now your friend.
Right. Oh, the NFL.
Oh, yes.
Well, and the good news is he has long flowing locks like Dennis Kelly, so they can share conditioner.
It could be a good tag team in the wrestling ring
that's
as well.
Right. Well, I mean, the group now. I mean, this group of offense. Okay, so you got
this group.
Well, listen to this. Lawan's 6'7", 309. Merritt's is 6'7", 316. And Merritt's may be taller than that. David Quisenberry on the practice squad is 6'5". Dennis Kelly is 6'8", 321. Austin Pastor is 6'7", 305. So they have 4 linemen, at least 4 linemen who are 6'7" or above.
Just giant.
You think we're sandbagging on Merritt's his height just to when he shows up on Sunday teams? Oh, this guy's a lot taller than.
No, I don't think that. I just think when he walks down the hall, he often looks like the tallest one.
The old eyeball test.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do I know? All right, let's get into
that's
Wednesday practice. Pads.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Maybe the last padded practice of.
There was some popping. Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's December the 12th, and we got pads on. How about that?
I kind of like it.
Coach is excited. Everybody's excited.
There's a chill in the air. It's
Yes.
December football. A good padded practice is sometimes what you need to get the blood flowing.
Coach gets excited out there. Doesn't take a lot to get him excited. When they put the pads on, that seems to crank it up a little bit.
When is he not excited?
Yeah.
That's true. He just loves to coach football. He just does.
The guy just rolls all the time.
It's awesome.
He does. No matter what happens, he shows up the next day, ready to roll, and he definitely brings some intensity to the practice field.
Well, the Titans are going to need physicality this week. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is going to happen because these Giants at 5-8 are just not that team at this moment. They are a team that really is won 4 of their last 5. In the NFL, it's about what you are at this moment. It's not necessarily what you are for the accumulation of 3 months or 4 months or whatever. It's what you are at this moment, and what they are at this moment is a very hot, very physical football team that has been making a lot of things happen.
Yeah, I mean, you would like to play a team that's kind of faded out at
dead
this
and gone.
point. And
Sure.
And a couple of weeks ago, it looked like the Giants might be that team, but now as you mentioned, won 4 out of 5, starting to get things going on offense, feeling like they've got a chance to still hang around in the playoff race. So this is a hungry team. You're not going up there for any they're favored to win this game over the Titans.
All right, and that leads us directly into our Amie Wells Wonders
Good job,
segment
Jim.
of the program. Jim Wyatt just kind of taking this whole thing over now, isn't he?
It's
Well, I
Jim's
saw the
show.
I was looking at the script beforehand.
But
I
at
kinda-
least
Oh,
he
I'm
doesn't
teasing.
have
I'm
these
teasing.
fine pictures
That's true.
that were taken at Silver Dollar City.
They weren't. They were taken at St. Thomas Sports Park
Uh-huh.
Glamour
a million
shots.
years
Glamour
ago.
shots. Nice.
All
right, so what-
Is that going to be the Christmas card this year from Amie Wells?
That's going to be the Christmas card from the OTP. I'm sending it to everybody and signing your guys' names.
All 7 people who listen will
Well,
get that. Then.
everybody.
Everybody will listen. All right, so what is Amie Wells Wonders this week?
I am wondering why the Titans are underdogs going into this game. Yesterday, they were 2.5-point underdogs. Today, I checked it during the show. They are now 3-point underdogs to the New York Giants. And I want to know why. And I must say, full disclosure, I know nothing about betting odds.
I don't either.
I don't know a thing about lines. I don't know what the line is. I don't know what the line means. I don't know anything.
Well, you know what it means.
Well, I know sort of.
But the
Like-
point is, no matter what the line is or the mechanics of it, take all that out. What you're saying is,
Why are the
why
Titans
are they
underdogs in
why
this
are
game?
they supposed to beat the Titans this week when the Titans have won 2 in a row and have a better record?
Right.
I think it's because this is such a hot team.
Okay.
I mean, to
You're-
me,
So based solely on momentum.
that's what I think.
And you get, and I know a little bit about wagering from my days in college. Those
Oh,
days left
okay.
me when I got out
Uh-huh.
of college. But
This is what Jim does when he goes out the night before a game.
I saw somewhere he was invited to a party again.
Oh my God! Yeah, some
Did you see
tailgate
that?
thing.
You're invited to a tailgate?
well, I
in
kind of
New
helped
York?
spread the word about this tailgate. A group is gathering, and I thought I'd let them know. I think it's Lot L on Sunday morning in outside MetLife Stadium, where
You just
Titans
can't
fans are
help
going to gather.
yourself.
Oh, gosh.
He can't help
They-
himself.
But they're going to be gathering in the rain. It looks like so. Good for them. I hope they get a good crowd.
That doesn't stop serious tailgating.
No.
But to answer your question, I think it's because they've won 4 out of 5. They should have won the game they lost. They lost 25 to 22, and they led that game playing Philadelphia. They should have won it. They've been scoring like crazy. Nobody can stop them. They're turning the ball over on defense for their offense. I mean, they are nothing like what their overall record says. And I'm not doing coach speak. I'm not a coach. I don't have to. I'm just telling you, in watching them and reading about them and looking at the stats, and in particular, what this Saquon Barkley is doing, oh my goodness. And because he's doing so well, and they're committing to him, and they're blocking, Eli Manning's not getting, just choke slammed 8-9 times a game, and suddenly he's playing well again. In the last 5 games, Amie, 10 touchdowns, just 2 interceptions for Eli Manning, and I think he's throwing for like 215 a game. So enough, but not too much.
And they're getting after the quarterback a little bit after not doing it at all early in the season. There's a ridiculous stat about they had 10 sacks. I need to look at it better through the first 10, 11 games, and now they've got that same amount in the last 2. The home team usually gets a 3-point edge when you start putting the lines out there. So I think Vegas sees these teams as pretty evenly matched. I think it's also hey, we will see more from the Titans before we believe, because this has been a team that's been inconsistent, looked really good some weeks, and other weeks, especially on the road, laid a couple eggs. And the Houston game, this team lost by 17. The game before that on the road lost 38-10 to the Colts. Lost in Buffalo. So the results on the road have not been great for this team on a lot of Sundays. I think that probably factors in as well.
And they did a nice job on Fournette and company the other night in terms of the run game. But this is a defense for the Titans that has had, Lamar Miller.
Yeah.
They gave up, 150-something yards rushing to the Jets. So you kind of piece those two things together, and the Titans have to prove that they have now figured out how to do this run defense thing. If they have, then I said at mid-year when we did the bye that I thought the key to the second half of the season was run defense and running the football. And I still believe that. And if they have answers and they can run the football, I think they can blow through these last 3 games, pick up wins, and go to the playoffs. But I think it's fundamentally that much of a key to how they're built. I think the run game's a big deal to play action in this offense. I don't think this coaching staff wants to throw it 60 times a game. I don't think they're built to do that. I don't think that philosophically is what they want to do. And then defensively, if you can't stop the run, it doesn't make any difference.
Right.
People are just going to keep cramming it down your throat.
Yeah, you're right.
So, I think this is more to prove. And, the Titans have been in this situation before. Last year, San Francisco.
Ugh.
You go out there. Well,
Oh.
I know, but you go out there in Week 15, and you're playing a team that weeks earlier was dead and gone, and all of a sudden, at one point that team was 0-9, but they wake up, and all of a sudden you're in a game you're 8-4 or 8-5 at that point, in a game that you need to win against a team that's 4-9, I think they were.
But with a new quarterback.
But again, that when you left there, you didn't feel as though it was a big upset because of how the 49ers were playing at that point. And I think that's where the Giants are right now. They're at the same point, which is why I think they're favored.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think a lot of it is based on the Titans needing to show more and the fact that the Giants have stepped it up in recent weeks and showing some life. So we'll see. I think it's a game the Titans certainly can win, as you mentioned, if the team takes care of business. But you can't turn the ball over. You can't do some of the things we've seen in some of these recent road games against the Texans and against the Colts. They need to get back and play it like they did against the Cowboys 3 games back on the road. So it's obviously a big game. Kind of no question, I think at this point everybody figures team needs to win out to get into the playoffs. And I think I don't want to say this is going to be the toughest game in that stretch because we know the Colts are looming as well, but this is not going to be an easy game.
Giants are pretty healthy, too. The only real question for them at this point is going to be Odell Beckham Jr., who missed their win over Washington with a quad. And otherwise, it sounds like their tight end, Red Ellison, is gonna miss. And then our old friend Curtis Riley, who returned an interception for a touchdown. He is their starting safety. 60 tackles on the year, 3 interceptions for Curtis Riley playing for the Giants. And I say good for him.
Yeah, happy for him.
Good
Just
guy.
Not this week.
Not this week,
Yeah.
but good guy. He's battling a little bit of a wrist, but otherwise they're healthy.
They're healthy, but I don't know what to make of Beckham. That was a surprise to me last week when he didn't play because that stayed quiet throughout the course of the week. I know Pat Shermer, I was on the conference call with him yesterday, and he pretty much said he wasn't going to practice. They're going to monitor him throughout the week, and then he shows up as limited. I read some stuff from up there that made it sound like the limited was very, very limited, like he might have been out there for part of a walkthrough. So I think today we'll tell the tale on that. B.W. Webb's another guy that people are familiar with.
B.W.
That's on that team.
From 2015
yeah.
with
With
the
the
Titans.
hair.
And the other thing, too, the kicker, Aldrich Rosas.
Ah.
Remember him from training camp 2016?
I do.
He is actually the Giants' kicker and has been very successful this year, Jim Wyatt. 28 of 29 with a long of 57. Missed 1 extra point and has 42 touchbacks out of Southern Oregon.
Lots of friendly faces.
He did it's not really Oregon, it's Oregon. He did
Wait, what?
Well, you're not supposed to say that, but I was over-pronouncing for effect.
Oh, my God.
Because this is,
Yeah.
the intranet.
Yeah, I think we got it.
Southern Oregon is where he went to school. And a good guy, did a good job kicking here. You knew he was going to end up kicking for somebody, and he is their place kicker now. So there are some familiar faces there.
That'll be fun.
And Titans have
That'll be
played
fun.
some.
That'll be fun.
that'll
Good
be-
to see those guys.
That'll be great.
Hope we win.
Yes.
And Titans have played some memorable games against the Giants over the years, including one up there in the 2002 season. Is that right? When rallied to come back and Steve McNair played through a rib injury that game, and they won it late, 32-29. And obviously there was a game here in Nashville against the Giants that was spectacular.
Game, I will still contend that game, December 1, 2002, where the Titans rally late, they're down 26-21. Tank Williams makes an unbelievable tackle to keep the Giants from scoring a touchdown. They had to kick a field goal. And so then the Titans drove back down the field at 29-21, and they tie the game on a 2-point conversion with 13 seconds to go. And it's Steve McNair making the play, and he throws it. That was the touchdown to Frank Wycheck. And then the 2-point conversion was the McNair run. Now, the Titans would then go on and win the game in overtime. But the story of that was McNair had such a bad rib problem that no one knew if he was going to play. He didn't even warm up. I mean, he was asleep in the dressing room, and he took a shot in the rib cage to get him through the first 3.5 quarters. But by the time they got to the end of the game, when he ran for the 2-point conversion and when he set up Joe Nedney to kick the game winner, the shot had worn off.
Oh, yeah.
He switched the football to his left hand to lift it above his head because of the pain in his right side.
I still contend that was a day, that was the day that he won the MVP the next year.
Yeah.
Because and here's why. The New York media went nuts over him.
Mm-hmm.
It was like they had never, ever heard of him before until this game. Now, obviously, they had, but you see it with Broadway shows.
Mm-hmm.
You see it with singers. You see it with other people. I mean, former Giants go on to become big stars in this country.
Mm-hmm.
Frank Gifford did it.
Yep.
Michael Strahan has done it.
Mm-hmm.
Tiki Barber is in Kinky Boots.
Yep.
I mean, it's a huge thing.
Mm-hmm.
Eli Manning will go to the Hall of Fame because he's a Giant.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's won 2 Super Bowls, and I'm not saying he's not deserving, but what puts him over the top is he's a Giant.
Yep.
If you do it in New York,
You can do it anywhere.
you could do it anywhere. I've heard that. I like how you did that.
Hey.
But it really is true, and this is an incredible opportunity for the Titans to get some visibility, to get national exposure, because if they go play well, if Mariota or Henry or somebody else, this is one of those moments. That moment for McNair took him somewhere else, and he followed it the next year with something very special, but he had enough recognition based on the embrace of the New York media.
Yeah, they're definitely, the New York media is kind of what sets the standard
It is.
in terms of what is being covered on a national level. And yes, if we can have a big game in New York, Marcus can do something awesome. We can have some breakout players that get a lot of attention on the heels of some of the success that we had on national games this year, on Monday night against the Cowboys and Thursday night against the Jags. Those have been some national games where the Titans have really stood up and make a statement. I think you're absolutely right that this could just be another feather in their cap, I suppose.
Well, after that game, Steve McNair never had to fight for national respect ever again.
Mm-hmm.
Not one time, because he was elevated. They proclaimed him. They said, "Oh wow, look at the heroic." This was the Willis Reed type moment for the Knicks. This was the type of thing that Reggie Jackson hitting 3 home runs for the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not quite to that level for a New York star, but for somebody with a performance, it's a big deal.
Yeah, and I remember pregame watching him because he didn't practice all week, and I
No.
think he threw just a couple of passes in warm-ups. We watched him in the press box, beforehand, and he gutted his way through it. And I think when I look back at Steve McNair games and heroic moments, that one ranks right up there with the game at Three River Stadium when he came off the bench when Neil O'Donnell was knocked out with a concussion and threw 3 passes, and the Titans ended up winning that game. This game against the Giants ranks right up there among his all-time most heroic performances. So, it can work both ways. I mean, Titans can go up there and validate some of the stuff that Amie talked about, the performance on Thursday night and what you did on Monday night. But it could also, if this team plays like it did the last time it was in New York, of course this game's going to be in New Jersey, then it's going to hurt the rep. So you've got to go up there. The most important thing is going up there and win a game.
Win the ball
and,
game. But
no matter how you do it.
it'd be great if Mariota threw like 4 touchdown passes and.
I'm in. That sounds great.
Well, but
sure.
I'm saying for him, it would be or for Henry to have another great performance, or one of the defensive players to do something extra special. It would be great. Speaking of great players and speaking of quarterbacks, 6 weeks ago Eli Manning was gone.
Yeah, he was.
Giants were letting him go because his cap number, he's going to cost next year $17 million in cash. Would be 38 years old. $17 million in cash. Cap number $23.2 million against the 2019 cap, which, as we learned this week, is $191.1 million next year. It went up $4 million. If they let Eli Manning go, his dead money is only $6.2 million against the cap. So everybody figures they're letting him go. They're 1-7. He's not playing any good. He's an old guy. They've got to start over. They've got to draft somebody. And then what does he do?
He's back from the dead.
He's back from the dead.
Mm-hmm.
He's and now those numbers that I just threw out,
they seem totally reasonable.
They seem totally reasonable.
Sure, pay the man.
I mean, I think he's back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, what's your option? I mean, right, they've got a guy that they played last week who doesn't have any experience and didn't play well, and obviously he needs to play more to get a chance to prove himself.
Kyle Lauletta from Richmond, a spider.
So, I mean, you never know.
Oh. It's like, is that code for something?
No.
That one,
nickname.
he's a spider.
No,
Ooh.
no.
I'm sorry, I didn't know.
Seriously?
Excuse me.
Come on.
So sorry.
It does seem to be trending that way with Eli staying in the conversation and staying as the starting quarterback there. You never know what happens when the season ends, and you hear about other quarterbacks who could be available. But I would think they'd have to make that decision in January or February before they go too much further with their roster moves.
Yeah, they've got to make some sort of commitment because his number will be so great. And then Odell Beckham's number is great. You put the two of them together, it's a massive part of their cap, but it would seem like it's worth it. The fan base up there is not convinced that Manning is going past this year. Tom Rock from Newsday reports via one of the services with the secondary market a ticket for this weekend's Titans-Giants game right now at $307 on the market because fans are seeing it as potentially Eli's second to last game there.
$307.
That's right now.
Wow.
I think he's coming back.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because I think he wants to play with Saquon Barkley.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think they want it. I mean, they've got Eli Manning, Saquon Barkley. They've got Odell Beckham. They have Evan Ingram at tight end. They have Sterling Shepard at wide receiver. I mean, they are really – I mean, they've got some if they're blocking,
right,
they have tons of weapons, and then you've got this offensive head coach in Pat Shurmur. Mike Shula runs the offense. And the thing that Mike Shula's going to do is he's going to feature the running back.
Right. Yep.
You realize this kid is 21 years old?
Yeah, he's just a young little thing. He's got so much left in him.
235 pounds, runs under 4.4. He has 78 catches on the year, along with 1,024 rushing yards. He's going to shatter every from scrimmage record in terms of yardage for a rookie back. He has 5 runs of 50 yards or more. He has 5 touchdowns of 50 yards or more. He has 4 straight games with 100 yards. He has 6 total games with 100 yards. He is on the verge of having, one of the great rookie seasons in running back history in this league. And
he was picked because they didn't feel like any of the quarterbacks coming out were worthy of that pick, and they thought he was a special player, and I think he's proved them right. I mean, he's a special back. That the numbers catching the football out of the backfield remarkable to me. And what was CJ's what was the record? He's 2509 all-purpose yards for
Yes.
CJ. I mean, he's getting up there as far as his production. I don't think he can get there in the final 3 weeks of the season, but he's a special back, and he certainly helped convince them that they didn't need to go in another direction at the quarterback position in this past year's draft. And I don't know that tying this back to Eli, I don't know who would be available that would make you change your mind on that this year either.
Mike Vrabel said yesterday to the New York media, this is the biggest challenge, talking about Saquon Barkley, the biggest challenge that the Titans have had all year by far.
Yeah, I believe that. I believe that. He's young, he's shifty, he's strong. Yeah.
Well, he's bigger than the linebacker. I mean, you look
Yeah.
at the linebackers that the Titans have.
Yeah.
I think, and of course, everybody talks about Derrick Henry's size, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But Jayon Brown is not as big as he is.
No.
Harold Landry may be a little bigger than he is. I think Finch is probably bigger. The outside linebackers are bigger, but Woodyard and Compton and Bates and
Yeah.
Evans may be bigger. But, I mean, what a challenge for these linebackers. You're going up against this guy who is at least as big as you, faster than you, and you got to get him on the ground, and he comes from everywhere.
Right. He's a train.
He is a
You've
train.
just got to step in front of it, and whew, I'm glad I'm not a linebacker this week.
Well, I think and Lamar Miller's faster than people thought. I mean, I think that was one of the mistakes in the night when he went off against the Titans is not only did he hit the hole and had a lot of room to run, I think they underestimated his speed a little bit. I think going in with Barkley, you know what you're going up against. I mean, you get motivated to play against a guy like that. And, looking at the schedule, I mean, Ezekiel Elliott obviously presents a challenge, when you play the Cowboys. And he had some success against the Titans early in that game before that game kind of changed. Zeke and Lamar Miller, I guess, qualifies the best backs his team's faced so far. And I think Barkley, the success he's had and his skill set, I understand why the head coach is saying that.
Yeah, I mean, this guy is some kind of player. Again, back to the point about why the Titans are not favored, it's because this guy is red hot. And if you're going to beat him, you got to shut him down. You can't let him be the one to beat you. If he's going to get to 100 yards, you better make it where it takes him a lot of carries to get him there. Mm-hmm. And what you really want to do is you want to force them to go away from him.
Yep. Got to take him out of the game.
I mean, it's what the Bears did the other night to the Rams with Todd Gurley. We saw what Todd Gurley did here in Week 16 last year in the pass game and in the run game. But last week, the Bears got him out of that. And suddenly it's like, why are you not giving the ball to Todd Gurley?
Yeah.
And that's what they did to the Cowboys to some extent. I mean,
Right.
Ezekiel Elliott was a big factor early, and then the mood in Dallas after that game was you should have stuck with Ezekiel. And so we hope that there's some similar conversations after this one.
Want to remind everybody about 2 or 3 things before we go. First of all, if you want to see the Titans play Washington on Saturday, December the 22nd, it is a Saturday, 3:30 Central Time. How about a family 4-pack?
Oh, that sounds nice for the holidays.
4 tickets, each ticket $40 for a total of $160.
Wow.
$40 tickets, so you can take the whole family to see Week 16 NFL football at Nissan Stadium. Go right now to TitansOnline.com to purchase your family 4-pack. 4 tickets, each ticket $40 for a total of $160.
At that point, you'll have family in town. You will have been in the house for a couple days. You got to get out. You'll kill each other before Christmas. Go to the game.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really going there. But,
I think that's a great idea.
She always
You can't
goes
stay
to
in the house
She
for
always
that
goes
long.
to the deepest negative. Have you ever
It
noticed?
wasn't negative, but
It was
people get their
but
whole
it's-
family in town. It's
Amie,
Nashville, so everybody wants
Amie,
to come to Nashville.
It's the 22nd. It really hasn't even started yet. And
That's
you're already
what I'm
s-
saying. You've
you're
got to
already
get
s-
out of there.
No,
We've
you
got to
don't
make
have
it
to get
through
out of there.
Christmas. Go to the game.
Well, I get that. And
It'll be great.
I'm for going to the game, but I'm saying
I think people can relate to me.
on the 22nd?
Yeah, because people come in
They
on
start
like
them early at the
Thursday
Wells
night.
house.
People come in on Thursday.
Is
Be
that
there
right?
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. It starts to drag on. Everybody's been sleeping on air mattresses. You're a little cranky because your back's a little sore. Go to the game. It will help you. It'll save your family's Christmas.
Whatever it takes, buy the tickets and go to the game because the Titans are going to need your support. Pinnacle Financial Partners. I don't even know.
I think that was a great
I
sales
think
pitch.
that was some sales
Call
pitch.
me, marketing. I'll help you.
It really, yeah.
Give me a call.
They will. They'll holler right away for more of your positive reinforcement ideas.
It's practical.
It really is. It really is. Do you hate your cousin?
No.
Here, buy a sponsorship.
I love my family.
Well, it feels that way.
But I only have 2 bedrooms.
There you go. All right. So tonight, Pinnacle Financial Partners Titans Tonight with Keith Bullock, presented by Yeehaw Brewing Company.
Yes.
Corey Davis is our guest.
It's going to be so
6
fun.
o'clock Central Time tonight. Tweet us a question. We need questions for Corey Davis.
We do.
Tell them how to tweet questions for Corey Davis.
Get on the Twitter machine, guys. Use hashtag Titans Tonight. That's all. Type your question. Type hashtag Titans Tonight. I'll see it. We'll ask him.
And if you want to follow these two people on social media, Amie Wells at Titans Amie, AMIE.
That's me.
And Jim Wells at J Wyatt Sports. Follow them on Twitter. Subscribe to the podcast, titansonline.com/podcast. We look forward to you being with us.
Yes.
And joining us for the OTP. We are back on Thursdays now. We are back in our regular rotation for the remainder of the regular season.
Yes. Feels
9
good.
a.m.s on Thursdays, but you can listen to a podcast anytime. That's the beauty.
Anytime you want to. That's why you should subscribe. So
And
it's
if
always
you-
on your phone.
And if you want to feel bad about yourself or your relationship with your family, just listen to Amie Wells.
No, you should feel good about yourself because your
But buy
situation
Washington
is not
tickets.
unique.
Take part in the
Yeah.
family 4-pack.
Bring them to the game.
Buy those Washington tickets.
Get them a hot dog and some fresh air. It'll
There
be
you
great.
go. And so for this weekend, we're pulling for New England against Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Yes.
We're pulling for Tampa Bay against Baltimore.
Yes.
We're really pulling for Minnesota against Miami.
Oh, God.
That's a big one.
It's Miami at Minnesota, to be exact. Pulling for Dallas against Indianapolis.
Yep.
And Denver against Cleveland. That's basically an elimination game, isn't it? Because Cleveland's not out of it yet.
No. Yeah, I think so.
Funny thing
because
is, what if
mathematically,
Cleveland won that division? What if Greg
Oh,
Williams were to
man.
win that division at
you
8-7-1?
would never hear the end of it from dear old Greg Williams.
Oh, I love Greg Williams.
I think he's great.
I
but
love him.
Man, the coaching offers would be rolling in.
All right. That's going to do it for this edition of the OTP. For the great Jim Wyatt, TGJW himself, and for Amie Wells, my name is Mike Keith. Thanks so much for being with us, and thank you for taking part in the OTP.